should go right to fucking jail. The son of a bitch is guilty. That man is guilty. That man there, that man is a slime. He is a slime. If he's allowed to go free, then something really wrong is going on.
Mr. Franklin, you are out of order.
You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order. They're out of order. They like to do it again. He told me so. It's just a show. It's a show. Let's
I love an unhinged Al Pacino voice.
I just completed my opening statement.
Yeah, welcome to the Music Relish Show, episode 108, and that was And Justice for All with Al Pacino. You've seen the movie, right?
No, but I saw Kramer versus Godzilla.
Oh. Mark, how good was Al Pacino?
I haven't seen it in so many years. I was in my 20s the last time. I have to watch that again.
I could tell that was Jack Warden, Craig T. Nelson, Al Pacino.
Yeah.
I missed somebody.
You know who else is in the movie? Lee Strasberg.
Oh, okay.
Who and Al Pacino studied the method acting under Lee Strasberg. Yeah.
I tell you, Barry.
He was in Godfather Part 2 also, yeah. Yep. But anyway, we're gonna have a good show.
I'm gonna talk like that all night tonight.
Don't do it. We're gonna have a good show this week. We're gonna have an audio-visual look at Leon Russell and friends playing a song. Cool. We're gonna have some random relish, some music trivia. This one is gonna include pictures, so we're gonna have to guess who it is. And also, apparently, there's some lost footage of the Grateful Dead, and from 1970 in England, and lots of extra stuff going on as well. So, anybody have some random stuff they want to throw in there?
I do.
Oh, go right ahead, Lou.
Okay. Well, as fans know, R.E.M. broke up a while back.
Yeah.
Did a little reunion thing lately. But what they did recently is that they got together with their former producer, Jack Knife Lee. He produced the last two studio albums.
Yeah.
And they did a remix of their first 1981, was it Hiptone single, Radio Free Europe?
Hiptone, yeah.
Hiptone. Yep. It is to raise funds to fund Radio Free Europe, which has been around for about 75 years and 23 to 27 countries in all these different languages, providing news to countries where the governments prohibit free speech. And the remix is cool. It's really punchy. It's really a really punchy remix. The bass is Mike Mills is what a great bass player.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So so Jack Knife-Lee remixed it. The whole it's an EP actually. It was overseen by Mitch Easter, that was their original producer.
Right. Yep.
At the drive-in studio. So on some of the songs I know, 3 are Radio Free Europe, the remix, Sitting Still, what a great R.E.M. song.
Yep.
And the great instrumental White Tornado.
Ooh, yeah, that's
was that on their was that first heard on their
eponymous? Something almost, right?
What's that?
It's like a surf song.
It's a definite surf instrumental.
Yeah.
And so it arrives this week. It's available in digital format. They printed it on orange vinyl for purchase.
I will get that.
For turntables. Let's see anything else here.
By the way, I'm sure if you go to REM HQ, that's their site, you can find it there and buy it there.
Yeah.
Buy direct if you can. It's always better for the artist.
Good point. Yeah, it was great to hear it. So I went on YouTube and I just typed in Radio Free Europe Remix 2025 EP. And White Tornadoes on there. I didn't see Sitting Still, but on this thing, at least it's a YouTube collection. It's got the remix and also has their appearance on David Letterman.
Yeah.
When they premiered South Central Rain. And I forgot the first song they played.
Radio Free Europe. Well,
it was Radio Free Europe. Okay. That makes sense.
A couple of months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Oops. But yeah, it was neat. But it's worth a listen to. And so yeah, very cool. REM.
So it is available on Spotify. I'm looking at it here. So,
okay.
Yeah, but I will order the vinyl if I can.
Yeah, REM HQ is their website. That's their headquarters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Headquarters.
Yep. Cool.
And Michael Stepp, he was interviewed. I think it was CBS Good Morning, whatever, CBS Morning.
So that link you sent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, pretty cool.
Cool. Anything else, Mark?
You know, Perry, last week you were playing, what was that guitar player? He was on Marty Stewart's show.
Kenny Vaughn.
Chris.
Oh,
Chris,
yeah, Chris Scruggs.
Chris Scruggs.
Yeah.
So you told me how he was in the Fabulous Superlatives.
Yeah.
So this week I was listening to all week their latest album, Altitude.
Yep.
It's a great album.
Yeah.
Good songs. Really good songs. Thanks for the tip on that.
Well, those
And it
guys
looks
are
like
all
a,
they're ace musicians, all multi-instrumentalists and everything. Yeah.
It wasn't, but it wasn't that cold, sterile look. We're great musicians. Awesome songs.
Yeah.
Really good songs. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, a little more real deal.
Yeah.
I got a random thing.
I'm a random kind of guy.
Lay it on us.
AM and FM. Do you know what they stand for, right?
No.
Morning and evening.
No, AM and FM as far as radios go. Listening to the radio.
Frequency modulation.
Yeah.
For FM.
Yeah.
Ancient modulation.
Well, it's actually amplitude modulation.
Ah.
Yeah, and frequency modulation. Yep, the origin. It's interesting. These things like first carried out in the mid 1870s for AM method of audio transmission. And
was Cousin Brucey alive then?
Maybe, yeah.
It's Cousin Brucey here, the antebellum South.
Yeah, but I just find it interesting because there's always like pros and cons. AM has poor sound quality compared to FM.
Right.
FM is less prone to interference than AM. However, FM signals are impacted by physical barriers like big buildings and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Is that why all those old radio shows sounded tinny and brittle and reverby?
It could if it wasn't 50,000 watts, could very well be because of that.
A lot of that music back.
I want to make one more comment on the AM
want,
FM. AM, I kind of like the sound of voice on AM because nowadays what they're doing is they're taking these traditionally AM stations and they're also putting them on FM.
Yeah.
So in New York we have WFAN, that's a sports channel, right? So they put them on 92.3, I think, which used to be a classic rock channel. And you hear these guys speak on FM. I don't like voice on FM. I like the rounded, the warm.
Right, the crackling with the crackle sometimes.
Yeah. Like I miss that, Casey Kasem would not have sounded good on FM.
There's some AM stations out here in the mountains of Western North Carolina. It's kind of interesting. You hear there's one in Marshall. It says, "Welcome back to Jesus." But they play bluegrass and things like that. But it has that quality. You feel like you're driving in like an old Ford.
Yep. But it's actually it's an AM station.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
I think our virtualizer effects units have AM radio. There's an AM radio.
There is
right?
one. Yeah, there is one.
Old speaker.
I'm going to start playing here now.
Any other random things happening?
Yeah. Have you guys heard of the one-off supergroup? And it's a supergroup, I think, in a lot of ways, called the Smokin' Mojo Filters.
No.
Does that line sound familiar? Smokin' Mojo Filter. It's in a song.
Yeah, the Doors. Smokin' Mojo Filter. No. Okay. No, sorry.
That works. Come Together by the Beatles.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, I never knew it was Smokin' Mojo Filter.
What? Really?
So yeah, I was at work yesterday. I was listening to NPR in the delivery van, and they were talking about the song "Come Together," and they were talking about the band the Smokin' Mojo Filters, and what it was a one-off collaboration it's called the Help album. It was a 1995 charity album to raise funds for war children and charity things in the wake of the Yugoslavia breakup, with Bosnia and Herzegovina and things like that.
Serbia.
So it went to Remember when they had the Olympics in Yugoslavia and Sarajevo, and 10 years later the whole country is ripped apart.
Yeah.
Yep. The Winter Olympics.
British and Irish artists. So this is the group: Paul McCartney, Paul Weller. Wait, no. Oh yeah, Paul McCartney, Paul Weller, Noel Gallagher, Stephen Chaddock from Ocean Color Scene.
Yeah, they were good. They were a good pop band. Yeah.
Yeah. Damon Minchella, Steve White. That's the drummer from the Jam, isn't it, Mark?
Steve, what's his name?
Steve White.
No, that's Paul Weller and Style Council.
Okay, well, he's a drummer, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Great drummer.
I thought that's him. He's a drummer on this, and Carlene Anderson.
Wow.
Yeah, so they did a recording of "Come Together." Yeah, it's Paul Weller basically, but he said McCartney came down. He calls him Macca because Macca came down and played some guitar and keyboards and sang a bit. But it's a more like a Paul Weller thing.
Probably recorded at Paul Weller's studio, right? And
I didn't see, but it said it was produced by War Child, which is the organization that is providing the relief. So it wasn't like
cool. So it's just one song, or is it an EP or an album?
It's an album, and it's an album EP. So it's British and Irish artists. So there's McCartney, Weller, Radiohead's on it, Oasis, Blur, the KLF. That sounds familiar. So, isn't that a studio in Florida?
I don't know.
It sounds like. Anyway, and this is a great name, the Manic Street Preachers.
Cool.
Oh yeah, Welsh band.
The idea was to record it in the vein of John Lennon's Instant Karma, where was it probably he wrote it for breakfast, recorded it for lunch, and released it for dinner.
Yeah, days later it was on the shelves. Yeah.
Right. So this was recorded on September 4th, 95, and released on the 9th. So it was done and present. It sounds good.
Wait a minute. So this recording you're talking about was recorded in 1995. 95.
I never heard of it.
So they just kept it in the can, right? Until
No, it was released.
Oh, really?
In fact, Come Together was hit like 19 on the UK singles charts.
Wow.
I don't know if it did anything here.
Wow.
Yeah, it was on an album.
What's that?
It was on an album called Help.
It's the Help album, but there's also
okay.
the Help EP.
Yeah.
But there's a cover of the Manic Street Preachers cover, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. I listened to Come Together, but I'm going to listen to the album and the EP. Let's see. Radiohead did. This was before they put it out on OK Computer. The song "Lucky." Suede did a cover of Elvis Costello's song called "Shipbuilding," which is a beautiful song. His version is a really beautiful song. In a bicycle for the boy's birthday.
So, in other words, this re-release now is going to be still for charity, probably, right?
It's not a re-release. It was just something I was listening to NPR, and somehow I came into the program.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
progress.
got it. Yeah.
And they're talking about Come Together, the song. And I think more about maybe the Beatles' longevity.
Yeah.
And so when they mentioned not every cover of Come Together is good. Like they mentioned Aerosmith, and they referred to Steven
that's a bad
Tyler's
one,
version. They said it's very flamboyant.
Yeah.
Okay, so also on this Help album, the KLF did a song called "The Magnificent," and Sinead O'Connor did a version of "Ode to Billy Joe," which I really want to hear.
I want to hear that too. That sounds good.
Right, and there's a song called "Fade Away." It's an Oasis cover by Kate Moss. Wasn't she one of those Twiggy supermodels? Or is? And Johnny Depp, her fiance at the time. Love Spreads by the Stone Roses. The Boo Radleys do a song called "Oh Brother." PJ Harvey's on it. Portishead, The Beautiful South, another great band name.
Paula Jean Harvey, cool.
Yeah. So there was a Help EP. It's got Smoke and Mojo Filters version of Come Together on it. And let's see, that was it. There was just something really neat I heard in how they were talking about. It was about Come Together. And how there's all these many different versions of songs by many different artists. And it's funny because they said for the most part, it's a song that has been covered really well, except for Aerosmith.
Yeah. you know who I think is really cool? Leon Russell.
Yep.
And, he's one of those guys you take with a grain of salt, because it's very focused. The Leon Russell style is very focus. Is why Elton John loved, the way that Leon Russell played piano.
He had high musical standards.
Yes, yeah. But let's have a listen to and maybe of Leon Russell and Friends. In the studio, they're recording this.
Good guitar playing.
I love the hangers on too. A lot of people just hanging around. Familiar melody too, right? And that was before the record of the Edmund Fitzgerald. This is 1970. The record of the Edmund Fitzgerald didn't come out till 74, I think.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
But, you can't.
I couldn't hear what you were saying. What was reference to the?
It was, it's almost like that little
kind of almost similar
record of
melody.
the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I thought that
melody,
too.
Only this was before. This was 1970. Yep.
Right. Before like the Wrecking Crew movies and all that stuff. I knew Leanne Russell from was it High Wire?
Yeah.
He had a couple kind of pop.
He had a couple of hit records. Yep.
Hit records, yeah. But they weren't the songs of the day. There wasn't the music of the day either though. A Tightrope is it's an interesting song. That break in the middle.
It's an odd.
It's almost vaudeville
single for the time, right? Yeah.
Definitely. What was the other one? I'm up on the title.
It was a
I'll
ballad,
be singing this song for you.
Yeah. Yep.
But he had another more up tempo. I think anyway.
Yeah. But
but his arranger status, he wasn't very enamored of the pop music of the early 60s. I think he's on this Diamond Ring, which that's a really good song. I don't care whether it's Gary. It's a great arrangement. The instrumentation is brilliant, but these guys,
it's a pop hit, yeah.
It's a pop hit, yeah. But it was something they weren't raised on that. That wasn't their wheelhouse.
Yeah, yep. But when you think about, like, say, Joe Cocker, Mad Dog's Little Englishman, right?
Yeah.
Leon Russell's the band leader. He's calling the shots. You know what I mean? He's the musical director.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He when you see him in the 70s, he looked like a hippie, but he was a musical sophisticate. This guy, had education and credentials. He wasn't some bumpkin.
One of those artists that your first image of them, you could form like I didn't listen to him because I saw him and I said I'm not going to listen.
Like Garth Hudson, only Garth Hudson didn't sing. You know.
But his speech at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is something else. I played it for Louis last week, and he's
let's watch
Joey
another
Nelson.
one. He's got a real bouncy way of playing.
Yeah.
Soulful as all hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, look at the guy over there. He's just a friend, you know.
He's hanging out.
He's just a friend.
He's hippie fro.
Whoa, what's that? A Gibson Explorer or Firebird or something?
Oh, the headstock.
I think it's Firebird. That guy bopping his head is Angel from the Rockford Files.
What do you mean?
Looks like Angel.
That was Epstein from Walking by Cotter.
Mr. Cotter.
I wonder who the band is. The drums have a nice sound to them, even through this format here right now.
That was Leon Russell.
That was Jimmy Gordon
in Friends. No, they're going to show the drummer though. The drummer's a young kid, but he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like the guitar
good
player.
Sound.
Yeah, and they have a rhythm guitar player, they have a lead guitar player, and two background vocalists, and
tambourines.
Yeah, yep. Let's see. Look at it. It's 1970, man. They're into it, you know.
That guy bopping his head, he should be playing a keyboard.
Yeah. But you could hear Joe Cocker sing this song. You know what I mean? That's how, you know what I mean?
There he is.
Yeah.
What's that? SG? I see Gibson
I'm digging
SG.
these blue drum sets I've been seeing. Is that Dickie Betts back there?
I don't think so.
She's well.
Yeah.
I thought she was naked.
I thought so too.
But he
all right, man.
He has the stuff in his head. You know, he hears the whole arrangement in his head. Apparently, from what I've read about him.
He knows music form.
Yes,
it's amazing that if you pick up a little theory, it's amazing what it does.
But
and that's they know the relative keys and all that
stuff.
Yeah,
but the background vocals are arranged You know, nobody just does doing what they do. These are arranged background vocals. You know. One more.
Well, speaking of what? Joe Cocker inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. It's good dynamics too, by the way.
Tell you what, the guy playing the SG does look like Dickie.
Yeah,
and Dickie played an SG.
He's the boss, Leon Russell. Leon Russell's the boss.
Really
Leon Russell and Friends.
Yeah, that was. You can probably find it on YouTube. It's from 1970, but they were recording all this in the studio, probably his studio.
I thought that was more mid 70s.
That was 1970.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Wasn't he also? He was at the concert for Bangladesh. Was he?
Yeah,
was he a ranger?
Yeah, you could see him playing bass with Bob Dylan. Right when Dylan was on stage, I think Leon Russell was the bass player.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay. Not surprised.
Yep.
Bass and keys.
You guys want to try some music trivia?
Sure.
But
let's play a game.
Well, this one for any of our listeners out there, we're gonna show some pictures of some musicians when they were young, and see if we can guess who they are. And any listeners out there, just go to YouTube or Spotify if you want to see what we're talking about, and you can catch it that way.
And we'll explain it as we get them wrong.
Yes, but so here's a sample of what's going to happen. Like, can you guess who this lad is?
Sting.
Nah, I'm so bad at this.
Me too.
I'm
only good when he has.
What instrument? We need hints. What instrument does he play? As a singer,
multi-instrumentalist.
He looks English. Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Who is it?
Mark's got it.
He got it.
I know that shit-eating smile anywhere.
Sting a ding ding ding.
Yep. That was Sting.
His real name is Fort Sumter.
All right, who is this guy?
Oh, I've seen that picture.
Obviously, it looks like an older high school picture, so he's an older, right?
Everyone had someone that looked like that in their high school.
I went to school with people that look like this.
The black shirt with the dark shirt with the light tie.
Yeah.
Oh man.
New York.
The guy from Nickelback?
From New York.
Okay.
Jesus.
From New York.
Jesus Christ. From New York.
Yeah.
Liberty DeVito.
Okay. Well,
no,
I'm going to go with Gene Simmons. Oh,
Dee Snider.
Dee Snider.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Looks
funny.
like
Yeah, Dee Snider. All right, this one. Guess who that is? What's her name?
Lita Ford.
Joan Jett.
Well, we shall see. Lou, you're right on. That's Joan Jett.
Yeah.
That's young Joan Jett. Yep.
Got the band right.
Marky, we each got one. Right?
Yep.
Okay, here's another one. Who is this gentleman? Look at this guy. Looks like.
It's Geddy Lee.
No, they're American.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And they're from the Northeast. In
Joe
particular,
Perry.
The Boston area.
Joe Perry.
I think Mark got it.
That is, let's see, it is.
Yeah, I
Joe
know that
Perry.
chin anywhere. That mug.
I think that's the closest resemblance of what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Well, Sting looked pretty.
I couldn't.
Dee Snider looked like him, but we just couldn't connect.
Or maybe, did I tell you he was English?
I didn't
say that, right? That was only the first one. All right, here.
Who's
this American kid?
Kurt Cobain.
I'm going with Lou.
I think you guys are right on. I think it's Kurt Cobain. Yep.
Cute little toe-headed kid.
Cute kid, huh? Yeah.
Good thing. I like that you chose a smiling picture of Kurt. That was good.
Really,
older.
Who's this psycho killer? I mean,
it looks like David Byrne. was that a
No, that's not David Byrne. I'm just saying it looks like a murderer or something.
Alice Cooper?
He's an American from
Kansas, right?
the Midwest.
I said it.
So it ain't Alice Cooper.
That's David Thomas from Perubu.
No.
I'm sticking with
that's Mark Mothersbaugh.
He's a guitar player.
He's a guitar. That's Adrian Blue.
No.
Guitar player from the Midwest. Gary Richrath.
Wow.
Tommy
Elvin
Shaw
Bishop.
or James Young?
No.
I think
Tommy Shaw.
I think Mark's got it, man. That's Tommy Shaw.
Yeah.
I've never guessed it. Wow. Okay.
Fooling yourself.
Didn't look like a murderer, though, didn't
Guess his parents got him help before he became a rock star.
He was an angry young man. He couldn't help it.
That's right. There's a song called about killing. There's a lot about killing kittens in Angry Young Man, isn't there?
That's a Billy Joel song. There's a place in the world for an angry young man. Right?
You're drowning your pets.
Oh, there's also Fooling Yourself, the angry young man
You're
from
eating
Styx.
your pets. You don't believe it.
Okay. Who is this lady? Who is this young gal?
Grace Slick.
Wow. Good guess.
I'm going with my first guess.
Could be, or it could be Bobby Gentry.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think I'm wrong.
I think you're both wrong. It's Chrissy Hind.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Before she went to England.
Yep.
And grew up.
She was at Kent State, wasn't she?
Yes, and actually one of the Mothersbaugh from the guy with the Devo dudes.
Yep.
And Joe Walsh. And Joe Walsh was there
Joe Walsh
too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Who is this dude?
Neil, that's a professor.
It's Neil Peart.
He had some bags under his eyes, man. Wow.
You
could go shopping with those bags.
I look like him.
You don't got the bags.
Oh, yes, I do. I wear glasses. You can't see him.
He had the cold Canadian winters to deal with.
Who's this young lad?
It's Sean,
American.
Sean, whatever from Dazed and Confused. The kid that.
Yeah, really.
It looks like that's the period, really, right?
You know what? He does look like Gary Richrath.
It could be Gary Richrath. Is it Richrath? Ragnarok.
No, he's from the West Coast.
Sammy Hagar.
No.
Michael Anthony for me.
I think when Sammy Hagar was in high school, he just came out with black and white film.
Good one. And he invented tequila.
West Coast. It's not Lindsey Buckingham, is it?
All right, another hint.
I'm saying
Pacific Northwest.
Oh, man. I'm thinking grungy. That's not Chris Cornell.
You just said
Eddie Vedder.
You just
Eddie
said
Vedder.
Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, that's Eddie Vedder. Yep.
But he was actually from California. He was a surfer.
Right, but he's known for being, in the Seattle area, right?
Yeah, he's a grunge guy. Yeah.
Didn't he invent the Jarl technique of singing?
Oh, I am the
the 90s singer guy.
That's it, the 90s singer guy?
Ever see that little was it Family Guy parody? All
right.
Here's another one. Who's this young kid?
Taylor Hawkins.
Vanilla Ice.
Wow. Both good guesses. That's Taylor Hawkins.
I knew that right away.
Wow.
I should be in the police. The profession, not the band.
Profiler.
All right, who's this youngster? American.
That was my era.
Oh,
that wasn't. No, I don't think it was enough to give it, Perry.
Lane Staley.
Okay,
Stanley.
I wouldn't guess that. That picture had that. So that was in the 80s.
Oh yeah. That's
that was your classic 80s hair metal.
In the 80s, I'm sure.
That was my graduating class.
Was it really? A lot of
they all had that. Yeah. Went to the prom. You couldn't tell who was who from behind.
Really? Well, that was a certain androgyny thing starting to form there.
Well, it's like that. Remember that story with the, dude looks like a lady, and it turned out to be the singer from fucking Motley Crue.
Yep. Who has quite a belly now.
Who is this kid?
Oh, he's angry.
Jim
Morrison.
Rick Nelson.
Jim Morrison.
Mark, you're good, man.
I think Mark nailed it. That's Jim Morrison, yeah.
It's the eyes, those eyes. Yeah. He's looking into your soul when he was a kid.
Yeah, he's looking through you, yeah. Yep. All right, who's this guy?
Looks like a party animal. Scott Ian from
Henry Rollins. It's Henry Rollins.
Oh, yeah.
Lou, you nailed it. That's Henry Rollins, man.
Yeah, that smirk
He's
back
scary.
Yeah.
Black
flag. A lot of coffee. Dude, guys, check this out. I was in like Earth Fair or some actual natural food store.
Yeah.
If the guy wasn't tall, I would swear to God it was Henry Rollins. It was a dead ringer, but I think he's not that tall. But, I mean, black T-shirt, but the hair, the whole thing, it was like you're going for the look.
How
dude.
tall would you? You're talking.
This guy's about 6 foot.
No,
I think
Henry Rollins. Yeah,
he's about my height.
Henry Rollins is about 5'8". Yeah,
yeah.
Henry Rollins is
I'm a little man.
5'9".
He's taller than.
Okay,
what I lack in stature, I make up for it.
All right, who is this guy?
Oh.
I look at that and I'm thinking, like, if there should be a T-shirt with some cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve or something,
What country?
American.
Okay.
That is wait. Jesse A. Davis.
All right, he's Italian.
Dion DeMucci. Johnny Rivers. That's Johnny Ramicello. It is Frankie Valli.
All right, he's known for heavy metal.
Ron Dia. No,
Scott Ian.
Okay, let's see if Lou's correct or Lou's got it. That is Ronnie James Dio.
Ronald Padovano was his real name.
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
First single came out in 1959.
So so that picture was probably taken. That's from the 50s.
That's
stuff.
probably like
he had a kind of D8. What's that? The duck ass thing going?
Yeah. Well, he's probably in high school then.
Yeah. That was a pompadour. The duck ass was in the back.
Yeah. Yep. Who's this kid?
Now that's called the Karen.
Who is this guy?
That was the guy in Cold Blood that killed the Clutter family. It's another murderer.
American lead singer of a pretty famous. They became a pretty famous band.
What era? What decade was it?
90s. I would say the 90s.
90s.
Yeah.
It almost looks like John Mellencamp, but it's not. I'm thinking Cy Kernan from The Fix.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the band was from.
Flock of Seagulls. That's Flock of Seagulls.
No, they're not. They're not American. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They're from Liverpool.
They're from Iran. They're from Iran.
No, they're from Liverpool.
Brian Adams. No, he's Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a total blank. It doesn't resemble anybody to me.
Okay. Scott Weiland.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
I like Scott Weiland.
Yeah. All right. I think there's one more, but it has a caveat, though. Who is this person?
Who need caveats?
Who is this person? Who is this singer? American? Los Angeles.
Belinda Carlisle? No, I don't know.
That's a good guess. That's a good guess.
But it's wrong.
I'm going to go with Lita Ford again.
But it's wrong. Lita Ford?
Yeah. No,
she was in a band and they called themselves a ska band, even though I couldn't.
That's Gwen Stefani.
That's Gwen. She
ain't no hollaback girl.
Yeah.
I'm just a girl.
I ain't no hollaback girl.
Well,
screw my band.
But there's one thing. Can you guess who this person is? That's Gwen Stefani now after plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Hello, what the? She looks like every woman. She looks like every other woman.
It's L.A. It's Hollywood. She didn't want to get old, so she had plastic surgery and
she looks like half a Pearl River here.
Completely doesn't even look like she used to look. Yeah,
she's younger than me.
Yeah,
love that Joker.
So that's just silliness.
They all become cat ladies when they do that. Cat lady, no, not cat lady. Anyway, let me clarify that. That cat lady of New York. Plastic surgery.
Oh, Wildenstein.
You wouldn't know that was
Wildenstein.
Her. Yeah, the bride of whatever the real estate.
Joyce
mogul
Wildenstein.
That was truly scary.
Yeah,
but so Gwen Stefani no longer looks like Gwen Stefani. It's like who was the actor that was in with Patrick Swayze in that dancing movie?
Jennifer Grey.
Jennifer Grey. She does not. She's completely transformed. She does not look like the same. You wouldn't even know it's her.
Meg Ryan did that. A lot of these,
really?
Why do they?
Because they can't stand getting older. They can't.
Also, here's the thing too. Like ageism in Hollywood too. They don't want to lose roles, and you can't play old ladies, but until you're an old lady,
I guess it's still different for guys. Like George Clooney can grow old gracefully and become like a Cary Grant. You know what I mean? And
Lou just hit the nail on the head. Is that women unfortunately have to wait till they're actually old looking, then they get the roles again. The legacy roles,
Yeah.
Right. The Meryl Streep roles and the
You know those movies, Leprechaun, all those Leprechaun movies, Leprechaun 1, 2, and The Hood.
Never saw any of them.
I was watching the first one. They're hilarious. It's evil Leprechaun.
They're horror movies, right?
Yeah, they're funny though. So I'm watching the first one, and this girl in it, the girl is in it, she's cute. And I'm watching it with Anthony. We're laughing and everything. And I go, she looks familiar. She said, that's Jennifer Aniston. I said, she actually is really good looking. He said, yeah, but that was before her surgery. She had surgery early on before Friends, So.
Well, that's what I mean. Like.
I'm going to get work done.
Me too.
I can, these agents, they look at the actor or the actress and they go, well, with a little work, we can make it look like. I mean, you ever see these photos of this woman that tried to look like Barbie? And I mean, she had plastic surgery to make herself look like a Barbie doll. It's insane. It's friggin' insane, man.
Yeah. I don't even believe in tattoos.
I don't have any. Yeah. I'm rare for Asheville. I'm unadorned. I'm naked.
And you don't wear patchouli either.
I got a tramp stamp.
I do.
It says Intimidator.
Well, how do you guys feel about the Grateful Dead? That was a dumb question.
Can I go first?
That was a dumb question.
Because Mark's wearing the shirt. I respect them. I like some of their stuff.
Right.
I tune into them semi-regularly just to hear something or hear something I want to turn off sometimes.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, there are times when I'm like, okay, I can understand what they're doing.
Well, it's an interesting thing. I'm not a fan of the Dead, but I respect them.
Yes.
And in other words, this apparently was some lost footage from 1970, right? And they were in England. They went to England to perform in the UK. And, well, I'll just say, like, they're at the venue where they're going to play, right? They're doing a sound check or whatever, but they don't take their places on stage. They just gather around, and it's like that's how unassuming they are or were. It's like wow, like
And this is the first time they were in England.
That's the three voices of the Dead, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Is this before Mickey Hart?
No,
there's two drummers there. There's two drummers.
Yeah, I heard of the drums now.
All right, Jared's playing an SG. You know who's the boss? Jared's the boss.
The reluctant boss.
Yeah, that was the right thing. I didn't even crash on this.
But I like the fact that they can be honest with you, though. In other words, like in the next clip, who's that drummer that was right there?
That was
Bill
Joe.
Kurtzman.
That was Crutchman. The other guy is who? Mickey Hart?
Mickey Hart.
Mickey Hart. I like the way he plays drums. You'll hear on one of the clips.
I prefer him.
Where he does so this guy is playing brushes, but Mickey Hart is playing sticks, and you can tell Lou his heads are loose. They're very loose. They're not tight. So he goes boom, 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 and he's hitting these toms, and I love the way it sounds. I love the way it friggin' sounds, man.
Bill Kreutzmann is more of a steady drummer compared to Mickey Hart. Mickey Hart's doing all the fills.
It's like Butch Trucks and J-Mo from the Allman Brothers.
Yeah,
one's more of the timekeeper. Like more the groove player, and the other guy's maybe a little more flashier.
But you see what I mean? That what we just saw was at the venue. But they're not on stage. They're just grouped around, Yeah.
Did I see? Was there a microphone there?
Yeah, because this is a documentary. Somebody was shooting a documentary.
Probably had a microphone.
Well, you'll see on the next one. There's this long, skinny microphone. In fact, that drummer touches it with his brush, and he starts telling Jerry that it was out of tune. You just the drummer is telling Jerry that your guitar is out of tune, or
we're never wrong about these things.
And
just a little point. Here's something of background. Not long after this was shot, Mickey Hart would actually quit because his father was the manager, and they caught him stealing money.
Yeah, we heard that. Yeah, he stole a lot of money from the dead,
and
right?
So he left, and they didn't want him to leave.
He borrowed it, guys. He borrowed the money.
Yeah,
they didn't want him to leave, but he left.
Well, let's see them rehearse more.
Kind of the right thing. I didn't even crash on you. Yeah, sorry.
See that long? That's a microphone the guy's holding.
It's a long, skinny mic.
But Jerry tells Bob Weir, "You're out of tune." What song is that anyway? The Candyman? Is that the name of the song?
Candyman, yeah. They had just released Working Man's Dead.
You're going out of tune a lot.
Got to tune a lot.
Sing it out, man. I mean, don't sing it loud, but sing
Jerry's the boss, man.
No, I think out of tune maybe meant by singing.
Yeah,
I know. That's what he meant. He's telling Bob Weir
I thought the harmonies were going off.
Yeah.
In the first clip, someone's guitar was out of tune.
Jerry,
usually the term is you're off key.
But interesting thing, I saw the whole documentary on this lost footage, and Phil Lesh was going, he's standing in front of his amp, and he's like, it's still buzzing, it's still making noise, and Jerry is behind his amp, messing with trying to fix it. Where's the roadies, man?
They had a very, very right up into 71. They had a very, very skeleton road crew.
Yeah.
When they got the wall of sound is when the road crew started to build. But that was really they were torn in a van.
But I thought this might be the one with the other drummer. It's like there he is.
Yeah, there is.
Here comes a little run. That's a country song, by the way. It's a country song.
Most of Working Man's Dead is country songs. Oh, someone's guitar is out.
I love the way that little drum fill was, like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And it's like
you can hear Kreutzmann too, though.
Yeah, he's playing brushes though. Yep.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting. These guys, Jerry tells Bob that you're out of tune. He goes, sing it out, or whatever he said. But they're pleasant to each other. They're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, they didn't. They got acrimonious at times, but it never got that. Jerry never wanted to really be the leader. He would do it reluctantly. He didn't want to be bossing everybody.
Well, I mean, I saw that doc too on Netflix, the other one.
Yeah.
And Bob was like, yeah, Jerry was, he's everything,
Now, interestingly, Bob Weir, when he joined the Dead, or when he was young, he was the youngest.
16,
he had to learn guitar.
Yeah.
He actually learned guitar. That's why you see his style is the way it is, because he's going up and down the neck doing
chords. What would you call that style?
Annoying?
That's what I would call it.
Here we go. If it's not Bloister Cold, it's you're picking on the Dead now.
The fact that they just played so much music together, like their whole lifestyle,
right? Yeah,
everything.
You play together all the time. Yeah, they read each other's minds. That's where the improv connection
200
came
shows
in.
a
They
year.
wanted to get the harmonies right. They gave a shit about that stuff too.
Until the caterwauling backup vocals come.
Yeah.
America's version of Yoko Ono.
That's when I turned the channel off.
Well, let's see. There might be.
I go to the 60s.
There might be another one. Hold on. Jerry, take the solo.
Tune your guitar, Jerry.
It's country. It's country. Yeah. Look how unassuming the drummers are. But I do hope before the show he gets that guitar in tune. Wow. I love seeing this stuff. It doesn't matter whether I'm a Dead fan or not. I love this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
So in that year, they released American Beauty and Working Man's Dead, which were probably their two biggest albums ever. And they're very countrified albums, a lot of acoustic stuff. They came out of a Waxomoni or whatever that didn't do too well, Great stuff. That's what got me into the Dead. Those songs are all 4 or 5 minutes long. That's what I like.
Wow, that's a short song for them, right?
Yeah, Candyman's actually 6 minutes on the studio version. So
yeah,
Ripple's another great.
But if you go look up the
lyrics of Ripple actually have more of a. They're fairly spiritual in a lot of ways, I gotta say.
Yeah,
that's the one that goes ripple in the water. Is that the one?
Still waters where there ain't no pebble tossed.
But if you look it up, Lost Footage, Grateful Dead, 1970 in the UK, I think it's called. And it's maybe a half an hour, but I think you'll find it interesting. They're walking through the airport. One guy lost his passport, and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I wonder how that happened.
Left it at the hotel, apparently.
You mentioned the sound of Mickey Hart's drums. They're tuned low.
Yeah, very low.
You can tell they're big and meaty. It's funny when you start out, like right now, my drums there's no muffling. They're wide open. There's 2 heads on each. They're wide open. There's no. You learn to do that over time. I've seen so many things where, the drummers. Sometimes I saw Dave Grohl's got some tape on the bottom of his tom-toms to stop any kind of an over-ring. I don't think you really need that. But it's kind of cool. Like you can tell those things are ringing, but they're resonant. But you can hear the tone. Yeah, drum.
Yeah.
Well, I never saw the Dead. I never did, but I saw Dead in Company with John Mayer, and I was just fixated by watching Mickey and Bill, because like you said, Bill would be playing the song, whatever. Yeah. Mickey, but by then Mickey was almost always using brushes, but he had this huge kit, like Terry Bozzio, and he would do these fills that they were jazz fills, like they were so off time. Yeah. At first, you'd think maybe he made a mistake, but he knew what he was doing. I
want to see that one again with the drum, because his hands are going like this, and it sounds like he's doing like a little rim shot or something.
How come no one makes fun of?
I think he's counting off.
No one makes fun of Mickey Hart for having a big drum set.
Oh, he's positioning his kit. That's what he's doing.
Look at the cymbal stands, how skinny they are.
Yeah.
But that little drum fill just cued Jerry as to when to.
But it's like a melodic way of playing too.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I love seeing stuff like this. Love it.
Yeah. Me too. Even if it's a band I don't like, I just like to see them organically doing this stuff together.
I love those old instruments too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Guitar Center and I went to the acoustic room and like $4,000 for a hummingbird. But I saw this, they had in their used section, they had the Fender Custom Shop? It was a distressed Telecaster, and that beat up $5,000.
Hey, you're paying for a beat up Telecaster.
Oh boy.
It's made beat up. Yeah.
Louis looked at it. I said, look at the price tag.
Yeah.
I said, that's not an old guitar. And he goes, really?
Well, I saw some
smart kitty. He goes, I'd buy 10 guitars for that.
I've talked about this in the past. I was watching recently. I was decided to let me see some guitar collections. I've seen Rick Nielsen's guitar collection. I've seen Dave Gilmour's and, people like that. So, of course, Joe Bonamassa came up again.
Your favorite guitar player.
It's like,
your favorite collector.
This fucking guy, you have too many Fender Tweed amplifiers, dude. Why do you have to do like that? It's like there's no more available because Joe Bonamassa has all of them.
What the code? We are your food shortage, whatever. We're amp. What's the term they use? Not deprived. It's
you're depressing the market of amps.
We're amp challenge. Now, the thing is, probably each of those Fender amps probably has a different type of wiring. into the cone, which which gives a sound that no one can tell the difference.
I mean, he's got hundreds of them.
Maybe
hundreds of them of the the tweed ones, the brown ones. Before they went to the dark black color. It's like
when I was in high school,
brown ones, big ones.
When I was growing up in high school, there was a guy in
you grew up after high school.
The guy, I never actually finished high school, but there was a guy down in Hackensack who would rewire your Marshall cabinet to sound like Eddie Van Halen, and you would get the brown sound. Now, everyone that did it in my high school said it was great, and they were bugging me. He was charging like $1,000 back then. This is in the 80s to do that. I'm like, no, I'll just play my amp. Why do I want to sound like Eddie Van Halen? Can I sound like myself?
And weren't the Hartke amps, weren't they from our area? Wasn't that guy from Bergen County?
The guy was from,
I think he came into Andrews Liquors, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, he was local, though. We have a Hartke bass amp at the center.
Yeah. They kind of fell out of favor, though, I think.
But you guys got
the aluminum cone.
But tinfoil cone.
Like this,
you guys had a good point about the sound of the old stuff, because one thing I hear when I hear those old Dead recordings, when Jerry plays, I can smell the tubes of the amp. I can just feel the Les Paul. Like he's got that sound. And anyone else from that period that played, Neil Young, you can hear it, you can feel it. The recording, you could just
they're digital.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but Neil Young doesn't have 100 tweed amplifiers or 400 of them. I mean, Joe Bonamassa has hundreds and hundreds of them. Let somebody else buy one, dude.
Neil Young seems like the kind of guy, he probably kept all his old amps.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Everything was not meant, it was meant to play for, whatever band he was in or whatever application. It wasn't just had to be acquisitive or.
I got them back in the barn, Lou. They're in the barn. I got them in the barn.
And then Bonamassa starts showing his 59 Les Pauls, which he
this
has
one's
hundreds of.
This is a beauty. You'll never be able to own one, but I can.
He's got friggin' Paul Cossack's Les Paul from Free.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of them. And it's like, dude, what? I don't know, man. It's just greed to me.
Is he really a good player?
He is.
He's a good player.
But he's like a rock and blues.
He can play authentic blues. He's done like total acoustic tours. And then he can be in a hard rock band, that band with Glenn Hughes. I forget the name of the band. The guy can play like really good hard rock solos.
Glenn Hughes and Deep Purple?
Yeah. They have a band called, I can't remember the name, Jason Bonham's on drums. Great band.
Yeah, I read a little
and he
bit
plays
about
a hard rock, but he's got, if you can knock him, back in the 80s when Stevie Ray Vaughan came out, it ushered in this new generation of blues players. And actually, Joe Bonamassa is probably better than most. But there's times when I do listen to him. I like his stuff, but I don't go crazy over him. Well, it's that new style. Like, you wonder, he never makes a mistake. He's always perfect, whereas a real blues player will make a mistake. Dickie Betts hit bad notes sometimes. Dwayne Allman would hit a bad note. You don't hear that with these younger guys.
Well,
does he sound slick?
He can. He can sound very slick.
Dickie Betts
he can
was
also
never slick.
No.
Yeah.
No, you heard that.
Joe Bonamassa, I'll give him this. He does play with feel. Unlike Joe Satriani, who just reaches the notes, but there's no soul. Or
that was always my problem.
No real soul there.
Growing up, you had Steve Vai and Joe Satriani because Joe Satriani taught Steve Vai, gave him lessons.
Those are fast players.
No, I say Steve Vai's got a shitload of soul and feeling in his music. It comes through.
Yeah,
I don't hear that with Joe Satriani.
Neither do I.
I went to a Joe Satriani concert.
To me. Yeah,
I was kind of bored. Like he's great, he really is good, but he's going, blah, 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 and I'm like, and every song is like this, like
I said, he's flashy with reaching all the notes, but there's no, there's just
the
no
drumming. I call that
there.
earnest. earnest drumming. The drum is very earnest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Steve Vai now, he gives you the whole kitchen sink. He'll give you everything. And I saw him live. He tears his heart out in every show. I don't know
Joe
how he's still.
Bonamassa or
Steve Vai. He's still like just the way he plays. He says it's getting harder as he gets older because it's angst to him to play. But Perry, I was just going to mention something related to Grateful Dead, if you don't mind.
Can I add something before you do that?
Yeah.
The thing about metal and players, like most people don't associate with like real like emotion feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I think the '80s, for slickness and technique, obviously overshadowed, feeling. So like, but you said Steve Vai, he'll play with feeling, but it's sometimes the background is just based upon precision and
yes,
He's like Frank Zappa.
Rare is the player that can, I thought, in retrospect, Eddie Van Halen played. There were some. You say soul, you think of soul music, but Eddie Van play with feeling.
Yeah. I don't mean soul when I say.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we're going to say about the Dead
Steve Vai is known as an like some of these guys, they can execute stuff. But
yes,
Steve Vai comes from he's like a Zappa, so his band plays everything perfectly behind him, like Zappa's band did.
Yeah.
And then he uses that perfect foundation to tear out. He's got you can hear it in his music, but but you're right. I don't get like people that say who's the guitar player from Metallica, Kirk Hammett.
Yeah.
I'm just like, like he's the best. I'm like, hey, if you like him, that's great. That's all I do in music. I just don't get it. It's like,
but as far as others go, like Kirk Hammett's almost a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? All right, we heard the wah-wah, we heard we heard that. But hey, man,
he's probably limited by the band he's in too. They tell him what to play and everything. But he learned from Joe Satriani too. He took lessons. But anyway, on the Grateful Dead channel, there's a show on every Sunday called Tales from the Golden Road. And it's actually kind of interesting because this guy, I'm really not a Deadhead. There's a lot of stuff about the Dead I don't know.
Yeah.
But the guy that hosts it has been connected with the Dead. He was seeing them in the 70s. And he has people call in that were either related with the Dead. Mostly it's just tales from the Golden Road, people that would travel and see them. Great stories. Some of them are bad, though,
Yeah.
So he had a guy on today called Charlie Miller. Now, because the Dead wanted everyone to record their shows, every one of their shows is out there.
Right.
And there's actually a website, archive.org, that has almost everything up there. You can just download for free. So he had this guy on called Charlie Miller. Now, this guy, his whole life, I never heard of him before. They say if you see something that says Charlie Miller, it's of the utmost quality. He's been collecting every concert since the 80s. He started seeing them, I think, in the 80s. And what he does is, all right, so if he gets Detroit in April 2nd of 1981, and he gets the soundboard, he won't just take the soundboard. He'll look for all the audience copies because he knows the soundboard was never perfect. They would flip the tape and they would miss a song. So he's dedicated his life to getting these concerts complete, which is actually kind of rare among Dead shows recorded. And then he got into talking about, I've always been fascinated, the people that recorded these shows, the Dead allowed it. So he was talking about how these guys,
the record company by doing that.
Yeah. So there's this one, he was mentioning names, like you got to get the tapes from this guy. He was the best at it.
Yeah.
And it kind of started to get like a little, not violent, but the tapers would actually go to a show, plant themselves, say, don't go near me, I'm taping. Shh, be quiet. But he talked about a guy who put the microphone in his hat. And then he would dance without moving his head. He'd be doing all this stuff. And then the band were like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I got the microphones up here. But he was talking about how you wanted to be in front of the soundboard, was the best back in the 70s, early 80s, because not behind the soundboard, but in front. And that's where all the tapers would go. But then the Dead got a new PA system. And the way he said it was, if you throw a rock in a pond and you just see one set of ripples coming out, that's the sound waves. Think of it, that's the PA, right? It's coming out. Try throwing a whole lot of rocks into a pond and you see a lot of ripples. This new PA basically gave you good sound wherever you were. You didn't have to be in front of the soundboard. And he said at that point, tapers could sit almost anywhere. They didn't like stamp out one section and kick everybody out. And I noticed when I saw Dead and Company, I've seen them 4 times and I sat in different areas. They always sounded great. I think they're still using that kind of PA. Why every band doesn't do that? Because I've seen so many bands and the sound sucks. It's echoey, Why don't they use that same methodology to get it out to the crowd, Just interesting stuff, and the whole subculture of the tapers. I'm going to go looking into that. These people, they were stars in their own right.
But what about the annoying sounds of the crowd, though? I mean, didn't that drown everything out?
Well, he said that before they had they actually set up an area. If you were going to tape a show, you got a special area. Before they did that, the guy would be shushing people during the show because he's recording, and it got a little tense at times, you know.
So some of these bootlegs are edited.
Well, what would happen is, all right, so you've got Betty was their sound person. She did a lot of the soundboard recordings, and then there's something called Dick's Picks. Not Dick Picks, but Dick's Picks. It's whole concerts that Dick Lemieux pulled from the archives. They're not complete because when they were recording in the 70s, it was onto analog, quarter-inch tape. So you might miss a song. So what this guy Charlie does is, so he'll take a concert, like I said, and he'll mix in, like if the song's missed on the soundboard, he'll mix in a really good audience. That's a lot of work.
But there's also software that any of us can purchase. Like we talked about the Beatle recordings, the remake. You know what I mean? You can knock out the sound of the crowd and just isolate the band.
I don't think I don't think you would ever see a Dead recording like that because people that buy these Dead recordings, they want to hear the crowd. They want to hear the beat.
Yeah, but I mean, they want
to hear this, Jerry.
But hearing that sounds like Mark. But hearing so the Dead playing Ripple at Saratoga as opposed to the Dead playing Ripple at at Oakland Coliseum. I mean, I don't know, man.
That's what though. That's the beauty is because it's true. They never played a song the same way twice.
Sure,
sometimes it sucks.
That's
Sometimes it's horrible.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
If the right before Jerry died, some of those concerts were just so shitty.
Ripple in the water.
Our old friend Jim Bogart, he's seen Dead quite a few times. He goes, I've fallen asleep at Dead shows.
Wow.
But not all of them.
Lou, you know where I fell asleep?
Where?
At a Rush show.
Did you really?
Yeah. I fell asleep. I drank a lot.
You're fired.
I drank in the parking lot before. This is when I stopped tailgating. I drank a shitload. I had worked all day, and I went in, and it was when they first started doing their 3-hour shows, and I had been up since 5 a.m. And the first set, they did the entire 2112, which is, got quiet parts and everything. This is in the 90s, the late 90s. And I'm watching it, and he's doing that tuning thing with the guitar, when he finds the guitar, and he's like, dong, dong.
Yeah.
I'm like this. The next thing I know, dude, it's intermission. Wake up. I fell asleep through all 2112. It just happens,
Okay.
Well, you want to hear some extra Beatle memories?
Yeah,
just don't play any music.
Let's see.
Beatle memories.
I remember my first Snickers bar in America. I bit into it. There was these peanuts in there. I couldn't bloody believe it. I took another bite, right? And you can't believe how many peanuts were in there. It was like there was a little man on the other end feeding peanuts into the candy bar I was eating. And I called John over. I said, John, look at this. It's all packed with peanuts. What's all that, right? And John says, well, John, he says, well, of course, you bollock. That's what the rapper says, packed with peanuts.
I remember one time I was playing the drums. I looked over at George. He was playing guitar. Then I looked over at John. He was playing guitar as well. And Paul, he was singing a song. I'll never forget that one.
What was that?
What is that?
That's from the Dana Carvey show.
I reckon it's Dana Carvey.
I thought he was saying penis.
We just had a bit of a plonk,
I thought he was saying his penis in his bar.
Leftover
Leftover
Beatle memories.
I killed a man once. I think it was a stagehand. He looked at me funny, so I had to. It was all taken care of by the record company, but, so no one found out.
Is that George?
That looks like John at the Sgt. Pepper phase.
People want to know about yesterday. It's no mystery, really. I was just doing my job, plunking on the plunker like that, I was strumming a little skiddly widdly, feeling a bit flu inside, rumbly mumbly down in there. I had a big of a knocker block. I started with the flub dub dub, had a ticket with woo woo, had tip tap a zip zap sounds on, and there you have it, yesterday.
Who played Ringo?
Ringo fell. That was Robert Smigel.
Oh wow!
And that's before we all saw this to Get Back, where Ringo really did fall asleep. I remember watching that. He's sleeping there.
But I gotta tell you, we've talked about that show in the past. We've showed other clips, right? And that was on ABC. The Dana
Bad
Carvey
time,
show.
though.
Yeah, right.
But they had a
Bad
lot
time
of
slot.
power. So what ABC was able to do was to buy back. In other words, Dana Carvey owns the church lady character now. In other words, it's not NBC property.
Okay.
It's Dana Carvey property now. So they were able to.
He owns Skinheads of Maine. Whatever that thing is called.
Well, that was ABC probably owns that, but they bought back stuff from Lorne Michaels. So in other words, Dana Carvey created the church lady.
Mm-hmm.
That's his now. He can do it.
Okay.
He can have a church lady special if he wants to.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah, without having to. Ever see the movie Shaun of the Dead?
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Is that fucking great? Like the one scene I love is when they're deciding which records to throw at some zombies. They're going through like a little record collection. Which are we going to throw? Like
I like.
Now, some of these are limited.
What was that?
I think it was Blue Monday.
That's the original press.
Sorry. Purple Rain. Sign of the Times. Definitely not. Batman. Sorry.
There's zombies closing in. They're digging through records.
Dire Straits. Throw it.
Dire Straits, throw it.
Ouch!
Oh, Star Roses. No. Second Coming. I like it. Ah, Sade.
Yes! Throw it.
There's some gun in the shed. They said it was locked.
What a great movie. Oh, they got a cricket bat and a shovel.
Shovel.
Which one's your bloke? First one.
And those two, they make movies together. They're like a team, right?
They made a bunch of movies.
Yeah, yep.
My favorite was the scene in the bar when they were playing Don't Stop Me Now.
The Winchester, right? When they were at the pub, the Winchester.
Yeah, they were trapped and they're beating the zombies and they're playing "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen.
Yes,
yeah.
And they were. It was all in keeping beat with the blows they were delivering, right?
Yeah.
I found an old Chungking commercial. It's kind of funny because I don't know. It might be offensive to some people. This is probably the 1970s, right?
Why should it be?
And,
there was
and
America in the 1970s.
And the guy couldn't say shh. He couldn't say shush. He just went like made an S. So it was like it was kind of funny.
Oh, here we go.
Have secret idea for you.
Oh, jeez.
Turn ground beef into delicious Oriental dishes with chung skillet dinner. Everything you need right here. Just add your own ground beef for chop suey dinner, lo mein noodle dinner, or pepper steak dinner. Chungking skillet dinner. All good as the restaurant kind. Try my secret for ground beef. Come to Chungking.
Was Chungking what you bought in the supermarket?
Yeah,
the can?
yeah.
Oh, it was. Oh my god!
You
remember this
meat,
one?
though, or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember this one? LaChoy makes Chinese food. Swing American.
Yeah.
LaChoy. Now I made a shrimp and green beans Szechuan stir fry last night.
Wow,
with rice and crab rangoon, cream cheese filled crab rangoon.
Very Asian, yeah.
Oh yeah. Now he said Oriental on that commercial.
Yeah, well, that was
19 in America.
Yeah, yep.
Not in Canada.
We've showed one of these in the past, but like Graham Parker, he looks like our friend John, who owns the laundromat.
Real thin. He's real thin.
He looks like our friend John.
He kind of does.
We won't mention his last name, but
and Ray Davies.
He looks like
John.
I'll be there a mile strong. I'll be there a mile strong.
I always liked him.
I'll be there a
me too.
strong.
Yeah. Well, he was one of those. Well, one time we did the Music Relish charts, and that was your choice, Lou. Graham Parker, right? Graham Parker and the Rumor. Yeah.
They Hey, Perry, that face reminded me of something. John, I clean dryers 1 through 10. Tell Perry to do 12 through 15. And then you, my back hurts. I can't do it. My back hurts too. John's like, okay, I'll fucking do it.
You can find the Music Relish Show on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and wherever you find your podcast. Just type in the Music Relish Show and
yeah, exactly.
Consider subscribing to our show. It's a lot of fun. Yep. So why don't we hit the outro? How about this, guys? And
well, how about this?
How about what?
Email us at musicrelish. Is it musicrelishshow@gmail.com?
Yeah, sure. Yep. That'll be coming up on the outro, I believe. But
awesome.
So last, when Lou is the host, Lou writes the outro. I wrote the outro for this one. Hopefully, I get the recording from Mark for next time. But
if I wake up,
we'll see you next time. The Music Relish Show.
See ya.
Good night. We love you.
See ya.
Like and subscribe to it. Oh no.
Hey, it's Quattro.
Thanks to our subscribers. There it is, musicrelishshow@gmail.com.
Yep.
Hey, he's wearing a Dead shirt. A Jersey Detour. No jokes.
There's the three of us right there on the balcony.
Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom.
Now, I have to stop right here. This is World Series of Rock, so I guess it was in Comiskey Park, which is in south side of Chicago, right? Now,
Yeah.
look at Baseball 1, Aerosmith, Jeff Beck, Ricky Derringer, right? That's cool. Kiss, Uriah Heep, Ted Nugent. Look at this one. Yes, Peter Frampton, Skinner, and Gary Wright. What an odd bill that is.
That's
for
the
number
club
three.
Back then, they just put different musicians on a bill, which was kind of neat,
Okay, can we look at it? So Peter Frampton, Skinner, and Gary Wright. That's a good night of music.
Yeah.
So Kiss, Uriah Heep. Weren't they Uriah Heep one of those classic?
But that's a rock show. That's a rock show.
Support acts.
Yeah, but that's a
Uriah
rock
Heep never
show.
really,
Ted-
yeah.
And Ted Nugent's at the bottom of the bill.
Which shows me it's
Aerosmith.
got to be 1980, because Ted Nugent wasn't as popular in 1980.
But I mean,
Is there
yes,
anyone
which
else-
was a prog band, and Frampton and Skinner. I mean,
Skinner.
that is an odd bill,
Do we know what year
Yeah.
this was?
I don't know. I would guess
It's got to be mid 70s. It's got to be mid 70s.
I would
at least.
I would think it's
look
more
at
in
Kiss.
the late 70s. Yeah.
Right. And Uriah Heep was like, "Do us a favor. Bring us on. We don't sell records. Bring us on tour with you."
Yeah,
Jeff Beck. Who's underneath Jeff Beck? Is like special guests or
With
something?
the
or-
John
Well,
Ham-
with
with the
Jan
Jan
Hammer,
Hammer
with
group.
Jeff Beck with the Jan Hammer group,
So that would be
Okay.
1979 or 80,
and then
probably
the other
80.
band was called Derringer, featuring Rick Derringer.
Which is
Okay,
funny
that's
because
what it says,
Aerosmith in 1980, Joe Perry was gone. Why are they? They weren't
He's
really
gone.
headlining
There was
material.
nothing we could do about it.
He's gone.
Gone.
Joe left.
That was
Jeff
an odd
Beck
bill,
should be
though. I
at the
thought,
top of
yes,
that
Frampton and Skinner and Gary Wright. That's an odd
Yeah.
bill.
Yeah.
So this song,
Crocodiles of Asheville.
this song was Perry on what, guitar and mandolin?
I'm not sure. I know I played
On
mandolin.
mandolins. And Tom
There's the
Griffin on
drummer.
bass. There he is.
XTC.
With the Young Rascals outfits on. It's like the Young Rascals girl group.
Sergeant Stillwell's Lonely Warts Club Band.
Hey, it's Deadheads.
Whoa, who's
Neil
that?
Peart. That's the professor.
Neil Peart. Looks
That's
like
me when I
Louis
was 17. That's Louis.
Looks like L3.
Yeah, there he is.
Yep, there it is.
Who's Perry?
L3. See you soon.
And Crocodile makes 4.